Am I the a-hole for assuming I was invited to my cousin's wedding and making a scene when I found out I wasn't? My 18 female cousins, 22 female wedding was this weekend. I'll call her Mary. Growing up, we were pretty close, as me and my siblings, 20 female and 23 male, often went to Mary's house. Lately, we haven't seen each other much, because all of them moved away for college. But it's still nice to see each other at family events. A year and a half ago, she met her now husband. He was invited to Christmas, Easter, and every family event since then. When he was there, I noticed that Mary was a lot more distant than usually and barely talked to me, but talked with my siblings all night. I figured it was probably just because of our age difference. A few months ago, we got an invitation to their wedding in the mail, or at least my parents did. My name wasn't mentioned on the invitation, which was addressed to our last names, but since I still live with my parents, and my brother and sister both got one, I assumed I was included, and so did my parents. But Mary's face dropped when she saw me. She pretended to smile, but I could see something was bothering her. The wedding went on, but during the cocktail, Mary came up to me and asked me why I came, since she didn't send me an invitation. I was taken aback a bit, but told her that we assumed I was included, and asked her why she didn't invite me. She avoided the question, but after insisting a bit, she told me that she wanted her husband's family to have a good impression of her family, and didn't want them to know that her cousin was a lesbian because she wanted to have a normal family. For context, our family is pretty open-minded, and all of them accept me, but her husband and his family are a lot more traditional and conservative. What I don't understand is, I don't look gay, whatever that means, and they would have never known unless someone told them. I was so shocked. I told her that she was sick for caring about impressing a bunch of bigots more than her own cousin. She got mad at me, and we both got a bit loud, which attracted attention. People came to find out what was happening. When they found out, my parents said that she was being mean and shouldn't have made a big deal about this. A bunch of other people said that it was wrong of me to come when I wasn't invited. Mary started telling me to leave, so I stormed off. Since I have been receiving texts from her and her parents saying that I was a bitch for coming, making a scene and ruining her big day, I understand that it's her wedding and she can invite whoever she wants, but her words were so hurtful. And I genuinely thought I was invited, but I know it's wrong that I caused such a scene on her wedding day. Maybe I should have just left and not said anything. Am I the a-hole? I'm going with not the a-hole, if it was genuinely an innocent mistake about the invite. I mean, you live at home, your parents and siblings were invited, you've never been previously excluded. There was no reason to think that you weren't included even though not specifically mentioned. As you said, your siblings don't live at home, so they got separate invites. Out of interest, would your parents and siblings, etc., still have gone to the wedding if they knew that you had been excluded for being a lesbian? Even about the scene, you did not cause a scene. She was the one that made a scene. She could have just looked past your attendance, since you weren't harming anyone. But instead, she insulted you and you defended yourself. I don't think my parents and siblings would have gone if they knew. My parents have always tried to protect me when people were being homophobic to me, partly because many kids kind of bothered me about it throughout high school. So I don't think they would have been okay with it. Maybe they would have gone just so that there wouldn't be drama, but they definitely would have been angry at my cousin. I would think the chance of your parents and siblings not going was the reason why they never directly said you weren't invited and made the invite very ambiguous. You are not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. A card to the last names would normally include everyone in that family living there. No reason to ask either. I would also have assumed I was invited. Your cousin is an a-hole. Bigots are automatically a-holes. There's no looking gay, that's crap. Hell, I look gay, but I'm straight, and plenty of lesbians aren't the butch gay type bigots envision. I'm sorry to say your cousin is a bigot. She cares more about the bigoted ILs than her own cousin. You were hurt, and logically so. You reacted in a way that could be expected from someone who has been hurt. Sending you hugs? Cousin is straight up homophobic, and I'm willing to bet that she hid it until she met a like-minded soul in her now husband and his family. So she felt bold enough to show her true colors, evident by her cold shoulder at family events since her relationship started. And given the aunt and uncle's attitude, I'm starting to think OP's extended family aren't as open-minded as she believes. OP, you need to 1, show your parents the text messages from the flying monkeys, and 2, start cutting those flying monkeys off because they obviously care more about your cousin's image than your mental health, and might well be just as homophobic as your cousin and her in-laws. Am I the a-hole for refusing to sign a family contract during my dad's wedding? My mom died 4 years ago, and my dad's engaged to Anne. Their wedding is 3 months away, and Anne has a 12-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. Dad has me, 15 male. Dad and Anne want this wedding to be the start of a new family life for all of us after loss. Because Anne's husband, her kid's dad, died too. They see this as a happy new chapter and an exciting chance to grow the family or whatever. They want us to not only accept the wedding, but to accept each other as family and commit to being close, loving each other, choosing each other, and swearing we'll always be a family. Anne's son is excited about it. Her daughter is more wobbly about it. She feels guilty about wanting another dad and wanting us to be a family, and there's a part of her that doesn't want it. She admitted this in therapy that we're all going to. I'm not excited. I accept my dad getting married, but I don't accept the rest of the stuff they want. I don't love Anne or her kids. I don't want another mom or mom figure to take on the role that mom should have. I don't want to commit to always being there for Anne and her kids, or to promise love when I don't think I'll ever love them. This isn't exciting to me. It's sad. It's shitty, actually. It just reminds me mom isn't here, and I'll never have my family back. To me, this is dad creating a new family, but not my new family. I told the therapist this. She wants this to be a discussion when the other kids aren't there, but so far, Anne doesn't want any sessions that don't include her kids. The contract was mentioned in therapy. Our therapist tried to discourage it, but my dad and Anne said they want it to be more than just them, but all of us. They asked us in therapy if we'd sign it, and I said no. I was the only one. Anne's kids looked sad that I said no. Anne looked offended and really surprised, and I don't think she realized someone could say no. My dad looked unhappy with me, but he didn't say anything. The therapist wanted us to talk some more, and she asked again, 5th time, if Dad, Anne, and I could talk, or just me and Dad. Anne said no again. My dad wanted to know why I couldn't say yes for him, and why I'm refusing to do something minor that would make everyone else happy. He told me one day in the future, I'll be so glad I was open to doing it because we'll all be so close, and it will be a nice reminder. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. My brother-in-law and his second wife tried to do this when they got married and blended their families 10 years ago. The kids wanted no part of it. They didn't like each other, but the parents went ahead with the marriage and the family contract and stuff. Things never improved, and now brother-in-law is getting a divorce for the 2nd time. Sounds like a big fighting waiting to happen when all the kids hate it and don't like each other. Absolutely. Just to add my 2 cents, your dad shouldn't be calling this contract a little thing. It's a big promise to feel and act in a way you can't right now, and may never be able to feel or act. It would be way worse for your step-siblings if you did sign and then couldn't follow through. They're putting way too much pressure on you, too. Honestly, it's possible that what they want you to do could happen, theoretically, but the more they try to force it, the less likely it is to happen. Yep, and I'm sure my dad and Anne's feelings would be hurt too if I did sign it and couldn't do any of it. Even without Anne's kids, I could see it being a big deal to them, but add the kids, and I know it would be a huge deal, especially if the kids' feelings get hurt. Not the a-hole. It's so sad that your dad and Anne are literally disregarding what both you and the therapist are trying to say to them. They cannot force you to have a relationship with Anne and her kids. If one grows organically, great, but forcing it will only build resentment and result in you pulling farther away. If this contract is really so minor, then why is your dad and Anne so pushy about it? Clearly it's not minor to them, nor should it be minor to you. Maybe tell your dad that if he'll agree to therapy alone with you, then you'll consider the contract so that there's a chance to talk more about this issue during therapy. They want it to happen so badly because they want us all to be on the same page about being a family. They see signing that as us being willing to make sure we become a nuclear family and that we'll treat each other like we would a bio family. I don't know that my dad would agree to that. I think he'd make me say yes before even considering going against what Anne wanting everyone there and not leaving anyone out of therapy. It's just that this new family consists of 5 people, not only 2. All 5 must want this. You are old enough to decide on your own who you want to love and have as trusted people in your life. Your dad and her can't decide that for you. Am I the a-hole for telling off my daughter for getting rid of stuff when I told her not to? My 43 female daughter, 13 female, has been on a cleaning streak, which is great. Her room has been a lot cleaner, and she's rearranging her room to how she'd like, which I am totally fine with. However, my problem is that she's also been getting rid of her stuff, like old toys and clothes. Not only is this frustrating from a financial standpoint because I spent so much money on all of it, but she's basically also been getting rid of the memories that come with all the stuff she's getting rid of. She's been taking stuff to thrift stores, giving items away to her friends, and apparently my husband had a yard sale once when I wasn't home. I finally told her off for getting rid of her stuff, saying that I've told her she needs to stop. She said that she needs to do it to properly clean her room, which I call bull. She said she doesn't need all of it anyways, but I told her that it doesn't matter, and that she has all that stuff for a reason, and she shouldn't be just getting rid of all of it, and that she's throwing away so many memories by doing this. I said that unless she's going to pay me back for everything, that I'm not letting her get rid of anything else, and if she does, I'm grounding her. She threw a hissy fit, and now won't speak to me. Husband says I was an a-hole, but I'm not sure, was I? You are the a-hole. You want your daughter to become a hoarder. Tell me, when you say she gets rid of stuff, does she donates the things? Either way, what's the point of keeping old things she isn't going to use? I said in the post that she donates to thrift stores, gives them away, etc. I'm not sure if she's donated to charities, but knowing her, she probably has. If she can't use something, we could find a new use for it, like putting it in a shadow box or in a box for her to look back on. She refuses to see other options because she'd rather get rid of things right away. With your response, you're a major a-hole. Your daughter donates her old things to thrift stores. For a chance people who could use them can get them. And you want to force her to be a hoarder. OP, don't force this onto your kid, because it will only do more harm than good. It's even more horrible that you see these donations as a waste of money. Putting things in a box is not finding new uses for them. It's just creating clutter. You honestly can't imagine she's going to want shadow boxes of all her old clothes. If you want to save her first communion dress or something, that's fine. But it's time to let the jeans and t-shirts go. Kids grow up and give away their old stuff. It's a healthy part of adolescence. Let her get on with it. You are the a-hole. Does she also need to pay you back for all the clothes she grew out of or all the diapers she wasted? You are the a-hole. It almost sounds like you're trying to make your daughter a hoarder. You are the a-hole. I'm not. She's just wasting a lot of money and getting rid of so many memories by getting rid of her stuff. She'll regret it in 20 years when she has nothing from her childhood to look back on because she got rid of it all in an impulsive decision as a kid. That's your thinking. Are you going to control everything she owns until she is 18? It sounds like you're the one freaking out about all of this. You are the a-hole. Memories live in the brain. Memories are not physical things. You are trying to get your daughter to become a hoarder. You are probably one yourself. My in-laws recently moved into assisted living. My mother-in-law never threw anything away, citing memories or someone could use it someday. That stuff sat around mostly in disrepair for 50 years until we had to go through it all. It took me a year to do it with very little help. Don't start down this road. It's incredibly selfish to hang on to things for no reason and expect others to take care of it later. You don't get to determine what a memory is. If you want to keep it, get a storage locker. Am I the a-hole for not telling my boyfriend I could understand his language this whole time? I, 18 female, have been with my boyfriend, 19 male, for 2 years now. This all started when we first met 3 years ago. I was new at our high school, and he introduced me to his friend group, which had mostly French speakers. I've never been confident with my French speaking due to insecurity about my accent, but I can understand the language perfectly. I was just too embarrassed to let them know because I was scared they'd ask me to try speak French with them. I got really close with the friend group, and my boyfriend and I got together after 1 year of speaking. My not speaking French had never been a problem because he would speak English around me and always made sure his friends did the same. And it went on for so long that I just didn't have the heart to tell him that I could understand them anyways. The problem started in uni. We both got a house off campus together, but my boyfriend was always coming back really late. I had convinced myself that he was probably occupied with uni stuff. But the other night, I overheard him talking on the phone to one of his French friends about how he'd hooked up with 3 different girls at the same time, and I was completely baffled. I confronted him, but instead of being apologetic, he got mad that I could actually understand what he was saying. I tried to come up with an excuse and say I managed to pick up the language after all the time we've been together. But he doesn't believe me since he never speaks French around me, and he said he can't trust me anymore. He's staying at a friend's house right now, and I don't know if I'm at fault here for not telling him I understand French, or if the real problem is him cheating. Am I the a-hole, and if yes, what do I do? He's absolutely double fucked. Not only was he fucking cheating on you, but he was flaunting doing so in front of you in a language he didn't know you understood. You are not the a-hole. It's so unfair that he's trying to twist this to make it your fault. You deserve way better than that kind of treatment. He said he can't trust me anymore. Lol. Right? OP, at this point it doesn't matter if he can trust you or not. You can't trust him. Dump him and move on. This is the only answer. Everyone sucks here. You are the a-hole, since you were basically able to understand him the whole time, and technically, you were eavesdropping. That's a pretty big piece of information you hid from your boyfriend for a year. And regardless of his cheating, it was a violation of his privacy for the whole time. He's just a way bigger a-hole since he thought he could cheat on you, and talk about it within earshot like no big deal. He's gross. Dump him. And maybe just tell people you understand French, but don't speak it moving forward. Am I the a-hole for letting my ex and my kids' half-siblings be poor when I could help? I have an ex with whom I share 2 kids, 13 male and 12 male. Our relationship did not work out, and we broke up 7 years ago. Since I was the financially stable one, she wanted me to have full custody. I have had full custody ever since. She has visitation, but she only uses it intermittently. Quickly after the breakup, she started dating a guy with money. He is from overseas. She quickly got pregnant by the guy, and they had a son. The guy did not want to raise someone else's kids, so she moved 3 hours away and completely stopped seeing our kids for almost 2 years. It turns out the guy's money was actually family money, and when his conservative family found out about my ex and the baby, they cut them off. Also, their son had some developmental issues. She got pregnant again, and a few months later, her boyfriend left and returned to his home country. She is now 6-ish months pregnant with no job and taking care of a special needs kid. She called me last week and asked me for financial help. They are living out of a motel and she is running out of money. I have a lake house about 30 minutes from her. She asked if she could stay there. I said no. She asked if I would send her money. I said no. She called me an a-hole. She said that I am letting my family suffer unnecessarily when I have the means to help. I told I have no obligation to help. We have been arguing ever since. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You have responsibilities to your kids, as did she, but she doesn't have custody, so let's say that's not part of this particular question. You do not have responsibility to your ex or any other kids she has. She can call you anything she wants. She's your ex. You can facilitate visitation or anything else that's for the benefit of your 2 children. But it's more than reasonable to say no to anything else. She needs to chase the other kid's father or other family down for their support, if she can. Did she have second thoughts before leaving her own kids for another man? No, she was heartless. So then now she can't request anything. Not the a-hole. 1. You have 2 kids with an absent mother to raise. Don't let her guilt you. 2. Helping in this case will lead to dependence. She'll not leave your home and expect you to support her. 3. You should not become a financial crutch for an ex that makes really bad decisions. 4. Having 1-2 siblings doesn't make you, specifically, your finances family. 5. If her kids are suffering, it is because of her poor decisions, not yours. 6. Calling you for money and not for the kids she basically abandoned should say all you need to know. Where is her family? Her parents, her siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, etc.? She was fostered, does not know bio family at all, and foster family is a hot mess. Little bit the a-hole in my opinion. Yes, you don't have any obligations to her, and I would not send her any money. But letting her use your lake house, if you are not using it currently, I would think that is just helping someone in need. Of course it should be temporary, but it might be the hand she needs to get out of that situation. Also, might be a good example to your kids. It is still their mom. Even if she did not show any interest, your kids still might love her. My kids are annoyed by her when she calls or shows up for visitation. OP, you seem like the kind of guy who's great at making himself look like the good guy, and someone else seemed cartoonishly bad. Not surprised that your kids hate your ex, they're getting their info from you. Sure, you don't have to let her stay in your unoccupied fancy lake house, but maybe consider what your kids will think of you when they get older and you can't manipulate the story to them, and they realize you let their mom be homeless, and then you made yourself feel better by getting a bunch of teenagers with no life experience on the internet to agree with you. What info are they getting from me? I never discussed their mother, other than telling them to be respectful to her and when she was calling coming by. The mother running out on her kids is more likely the reason they hate her. OP doesn't have to say a word to his kids about their mother for them to know she doesn't give a shit about them.
What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos.